morning. Good morning. Can everyone say buongiorno? Signor Gargiulo. Okay, now we're going to try something. That's my name. I'm Mr. Gargiulo, and that's how we say it in Italian. Now, I need to try something. What do you call the person who stands in front of people playing instruments and they wave their hands? Yeah. A conductor. Okay, so I want to try something. First of all, I want you to give yourselves a round of applause. Okay, good. Now, that applause is going to be our orchestra here for a second, and I get to be the conductor. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to count to 3. And when I count to 3, I want you all to start clapping. And then if I raise my hands up, what are you going to do? Clap louder. And if I lower my hands, clap softer. And when I go like this, oh my gosh, these guys are a brilliant orchestra. They already know what to do. All right, let's try this. 1, 2, 3. All right, give yourselves a round of applause. Way to go. Good start, good start. So I'm thrilled to be here, and I hear you have lots of cool stuff going on. Halloween is coming on. We've got thing number 1 and thing number 2. Is anyone else dressing up as thing number 1 and thing number 2? Oh my gosh, I thought so because I saw your shirt. Very, very cool. And who's going to be submitting something for the yearbook? Anybody doing some artwork for that? Cool. Yeah, what kind of picture are you drawing?
I'm drawing a volcano.
A volcano, and what about you?
I drew a dolphin.
A dolphin. I love dolphins. I had an opportunity to actually have a ride with a dolphin. Well, we're here today to talk about opera. And I got a couple of questions for you. What makes an opera an opera? Yeah, a voice, good. What else? Okay, they've got instruments and voices, good. What else? The orchestra, excellent. Dancing, woo, great. Other stuff, yeah. A conductor, excellent, yeah. A story, great. Music, yes. A what? A magician? Yes, there are operas. The Magic Flute has all kinds of magic in it, and there are other operas with magic. And that's one of the incredible things, is that these stories with music take place in all kinds of magical places. Some real, like Egypt. Others, imaginary places where magic happens. Now, because a story is told in music with what someone first set up here, singing, it's a little bit different than a play. It sort of goes like this. In a play, I'd say, "Good morning, hola. What a pleasure it is to step into the beauty of this incredible school, Laurelwood. I feel so at home with these lovely students." Okay, in opera, it goes down a little bit like this. Good morning, buongiorno, hola, hola. In any language, I am happy to be here because it's opera. Okay, come on, put those hands together. All right, so that sounds kind of silly, but what difference does it make that I can sing things as opposed to us just talking dialogue? What does that do for me? Yeah.
It might put a different spin because sometimes when you're talking, like saying it sounds different. It's not just like hello. You add a different.
Yeah, it has a different ring to it, and it allows us to have emotions. Yeah. Okay, so that your voice is different, and you can color your voice in a lot of different ways. And those of you who talked about there being an orchestra, you have all different types of instruments. Quickly name a few instruments in an orchestra. Yes? Violin. Ooh, good. Drums, yeah? Trumpet. Bass, all the way back there. What? Cello, good. Yeah. Yeah. Harp. So all these different instruments make different types of sounds, and because of that, You can have multiple emotions. You can be saying two things at the same time. If we're singing a duet, you and I are singing a duet, you could be really happy. Who wants to sing something happy? Just go, loo, 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 loo. Someone go, loo, 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 loo. Anybody want to do loo, 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 loo in the mic? Come on, rock it out. Okay. So that's because we can sing, he can be happy, and I can be upset, and if you're the audience, we can all understand it. Okay, I want to show you a picture. Who do you think this guy is right over here? That's me. And who do you think that is? That's my dad. And everybody turn around and look at the woman sitting back there. Who do you think that is? And can everyone say, "Good morning, Mrs. Gargiulo"? Okay, so when I was just a little kid, my daddy was a conductor and a composer, and in fact, he conducted this opera, and this is a picture of him from about 1951 when he conducted the opera Carmen. So he is with us in spirit, and he is absolutely thrilled that you guys are open to learning about something different like opera. Okay, so this opera is by this composer, Georges Bizet. Can everyone say Georges Bizet? Okay, where is he from? Any guesses? Yeah. Excellent, give her a round of applause. She got it. And you win the $1 million prize. I'm just teasing. I wish I had $1 million. But yes, he's a French composer. And this opera was completed in 1875, and he died 3 months later. And when people first saw this opera, they were like, you know, it's okay. No one's going to want to listen to this in 10, 15 years from now. You know, it'll just disappear. Did it disappear? It's probably the most loved and popular opera. So I'm thrilled that I get to bring you one of the most beloved operas of all time. Okay, I have someone who came in from, I believe, New York or someplace. Let me see if he's ready to actually talk to you guys. He wants to tell you about 3 of the main characters in this opera. You ready to check him out? His name is Alexander Rogers. Hold on. Let me see. Alex?
Welcome to the theater! I'm so excited that you're here because you are just in time for one of my favorite operas, Carmen! Oh man, operas are lame. Man. Operas are lame. Hold up now. Operas are just trying to say something. Carmen has 3 main characters. Micaela, an innocent girl, Don Jose, a soldier, and Carmen, a gypsy girl. Let's take a look. Roll it! Micaela. She's a gentle warrior. Her weapons are innocence and courage. From the moment she walks on the stage to her final breath, Micaela always does the right thing. You ever held on to something that you really know to be true, no matter what people say, no matter what happens? Well, that's Micaela. She'll march into hell for a heavenly cause. I'm afraid the same cannot be said for our next character, Don Jose. Roll it. Don Jose is the man of this story. He's kind of a mama's boy. Look, Don Jose wants everything. He wants it all, and he wants it now. And he's going to take a big risk, and he's going to lose. Don Jose becomes obsessed with Carmen and consumed by the intense desire to go outside of himself to fill a need that really should be filled from within. He chooses a tragic path which eventually... Well, let's move on to our third and our final character. We've saved the best for last, Carmen. Well, Carmen is like a wildfire. She's attractive. She's fierce. She's warm to be near. But if you get too close... That was very hot. Roll it! How many of you right here, right now, want to do what you want to do when you want to do it? Well, that's Carmen. She's got a message for us. Be free as a bird. Free of authority, free of expectations, free of people. But with all this freedom, how are you ever going to find true love or anything stable? Carmen's biggest fear? Intimacy. She falls in love with everybody. I mean, she falls in love as fast as the wind changes. And for that, there is going to be a price to pay. Now that we've looked into the souls of all three of these characters, Micaela, Don Jose, and Carmen, let's take a closer look at some media that you might recognize in the enchanting world of Carmen. Take it away, Maestro!
Hey, Lise, keep an eye out for the guy with the peanuts.
There's no guy with peanuts, dear.
Theodore, don't spit on the floor. Please use the cuspador. That's what it's for.
Robert, stop fooling around. Homer, stop encouraging him.
Carmen is an opera that reaches across time. From movies, TV commercials, cartoons, Carmen shows up in the oddest places.
I'm Ruth, named Carmen, and awfully charming. I guess you noticed by the way you stare. You're not bad either. Let's take a breather, and we can talk about my auburn hair. Auburn hair.
Do you ever drink Pepsi? Do you like Beyonce? You've probably seen this. From male to female, from one style of music to another, Carmen is a timeless classic that appeals to everyone across every culture. Here's an opera diva from Romania with a traditional rendition. Even operas need to have a stud. Escamillo will make any woman swoon. I bet you've heard this next piece before. But Carmen is not all about adults. Here's probably the most famous kids' chorus in all of opera. So let's see. We've learned that loving too safely limits you, loving too freely isolates you, and loving too hungrily can leave you feeling empty. Oh, I got it. Love is a dangerous mindset. It can consume you, but if you never risk it, it will be worse than dying desperate for love. That's opera, baby. Sing your song. Go for it. And now let's hear the rest of the story.
Okay, let's see how much you remember. Now, there were 3 characters he talked about. What are the names of one of the characters? Right back there, sir. Yeah. Carmen. Another character from over here. Yes. You don't remember. Yes. Micaela. And one more from over here. What's the last character? Yeah. You go on it. The soldier, and what's his name? Jose, Don Jose. Very good. So there's Carmen, there's Micaela, and Don Jose. Now let's look at how this story is all put together. So the opera takes place in what country do you think? Take a guess. That is a very good guess, but here's the crazy thing. Spain, you're right. It takes place in Spain, in Europe, and it takes place, even though they sing in French, by the way, go figure, right? I guess that's because Georges Bizet is French. Okay. And it takes place in this city of Seville. And in fact, look at the place where the opera opens up. That's a real place in Spain, and it's the square in Seville. And the soldiers are coming back. They've been at war, and the soldiers are also responsible. This is a big public area. It would be like North Main Street or Old Town Salinas, right? It's a big area where a lot of people are constantly walking, and they're there to guard it, all right? And the opera opens up, and the children are seeing all of the soldiers come by, coming into the square, and what do you think they want to pretend to be? Soldiers! So look, that was the children's chorus you heard towards the end of the video. Check it out. Okay. So kids get to be in operas too. They're not just about a bunch of adults breaking glass windows with their screechy voices. Kids get to dance and get to act and get to sing in operas too. So the next character that walks onto the screen, what character is that in the middle? Not Carmen, the other woman. What was her name? Micaela. Everyone say Micaela. Okay, Micaela is coming to look for what other character do you think? Don Jose. She's looking for Don Jose. And why is she looking for Don Jose? Love. She loves Don Jose, and Don Jose loves her. Very sweet. But he's not there, and all the other soldiers are like, well, why don't you just come in and have a cup of coffee with us? Aren't I a nice-looking soldier too? Don't you like me? And she, what do you think she's going to say? No, I'll come back later when Don Jose is here. Meanwhile, there's a cigarette factory, and there's a bunch of women that work in the cigarette factory. And what woman, what character do you think works in the cigarette factory? Carmen, good, you all guys got it. All right, now Carmen wants to sing. They all look at her and they go, oh my goodness. All the soldiers are like, oh, she's the most beautiful woman we've ever seen. Carmen, don't you want to like me? Love me, Carmen. Tell me about love, Carmen. What does it mean to love you, Carmen? And she sings the famous habanera that you even saw Beyonce in the film singing. Check this out. Que nul ne peut apprivoiser, et c'est bien on va qu'on l'appelle, s'il lui convient de refuser. All right. Now let's look at what she was actually saying, because she's describing love. And she says the word in French for love is l'amour. Everyone say l'amour. Okay, the last word, rebelle. What does that sound like in English? Rebel. And what does rebel mean? Yeah, back there. Yeah, and a rebel, what does a rebel do? They kind of fight back, yes. Very good, it goes against something. So she kind of goes against society because she wants to be free like a bird. That means love is like a free bird that just flies. Carmen wants to do what she wants to do when she wants to do it. She is her own person. So let's say this. L'amour est un oiseau rebelle. She's free like a bird, just flying where she wants to go. But guess what? If she loves you, you better beware. Okay. Any predictions of who might end up loving Carmen? Don Jose. Let's see how that all goes down. So while she's singing that song, the habanera that we saw, while she's singing that song, she notices that Don Jose is there. And is Don Jose paying attention to her? Why isn't Don Jose paying attention to her? Because he loves Micaela. So he's just doing his paperwork. He's sitting there doing his paperwork. How do you think that's going to make Carmen feel? Sad and mad all at once, huh? And jealous and upset. And while she's singing and notices that he's not paying attention to her, she takes out of her hair a flower. And what is she going to do with that flower? She's going to poison him. She does poison him. She enchants him. And she takes that flower and throws it at him. It throws it at him. And this is the beginning of some big enchantment. Okay. So, meanwhile, Micaela comes back and she goes off with Don Jose. She has a letter from Don Jose's mommy. And listen to the beautiful music as she talks about how his mother misses him. So really pretty, huh? She sings this beautiful song, your mommy misses you, your mommy loves you, and then she says, and your mother sends you a kiss. And of course she kisses him. And he replies, oh, I miss my mommy. Here, give her a kiss from me. And he kisses her. Okay, very sweet. But while he's singing all this stuff, and while they're having this conversation, in the back of the mind, what is he thinking about? Carmen, because he's been enchanted. Okay, so meanwhile, back at the cigarette factory, Carmen gets into a fight. And the soldiers have to go inside of the cigarette factory and separate the women who are fighting. Now, the head of the police, this other character whose name is Zuninga, everyone say Zuninga. Yeah, Zuninga says, okay, tell me what happened in there. Give me the details so that we can do justice here. And do you think Carmen's going to say anything? No. You had a question. Go ahead. Oh, you didn't have a question? That's okay. So he is like, you're not going to tell me anything? And she says, no. And she basically spits in his face. And in this picture, there he is trying to get her to say something. She won't talk to him. And who's behind her? Who has Zuninga told to bind her hands up because she's probably going to go to jail? Don Jose. Don Jose now has to bind her up, put her in handcuffs. And of course, there she is in her handcuffs, and he's going to have to guard her. But what's a prediction here? What's going to happen? He's going to let her go. Very good. Give him a round of applause. Great prediction. Great prediction. So, listen to her as she sings this song called the Seguadilla, as she convinces him that he's going to let her go. Okay, so and she even blows in his face. And that's exactly what happens. He takes her outside. She convinces him that he's going to let her go. He pretends that she falls down, but her hands are no longer bound, and she runs away. What is going to happen now to Don Jose? Any predictions? What's that? He's going to get in major trouble. He's going to get thrown into jail. That's what kind of trouble he's going to get into. Another comment? Yeah. Yeah, he could get fired, but he gets thrown into jail. And so that brings us to the second act. And the second act opens up with Carmen being free as a bird. She's back in a cafe dancing with her friends. I'm going to show you in a second. And Don Jose is where? In jail. Don Jose is in jail. Listen to Carmen as she and her gypsy friends sing in the cafe. And then it gets wild and crazy. Listen to how fast the dance goes. Wow. And when you get to see that, yeah, give a round of applause. That's pretty awesome. And when you see that on the stage and they're going crazy, it's tons of fun. Okay, so meanwhile, here in the cafe, they've done their dance, and who should walk in but this character? Everyone say, S. Camilio! Escamillo! Okay, what kind of person is he? What does he do for a profession? Any guesses? Yeah, all the way down there. What? Yeah, he does a dancing in a particular type of arena. It's definitely a dance. Yes. Yeah, back there. Yeah, you. He acts. He is an actor. Yes? A toreador. He's a toreador. And what's a toreador? A bullfighter. Okay, guys, this is not Xbox days like today. They had no entertainment, no movies to go to, no Netflix, nothing to do. So what did they do? They went to the arena. They went to cafes to dance with music, and yes, with the big cape and the bulls, and he was a bullfighter. So this guy was a celebrity. And when he walks into the bar, everyone swoons. Listen to the song that he sings about being a bullfighter and what it's like to be in the ring with the bull. Okay, amor. Now, what character was in that scene? What other character? Yes. Carmen. And what is Carmen, what do you get from her face? Yeah. She's in love? Maybe. She's in love with, she thinks that she's in love with Don Jose. But what is she thinking there in that scene? Yeah, over there. She's mad. Why is she mad? You're so right. Yeah, like she was the hit of the party. Everyone was checking her singing and her dancing out, and everyone was swooning over her. In walks the big celeb, and she's now like chopped liver. Nope. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, he's looking at her like, you're going to love me, aren't you? Because I'm so awesome. Okay. Now, meanwhile, the toreadors leave, everyone leaves. There are just a few gypsies left in the cafe, and they're all planning to go and steal a bunch of stuff. They're what are called smugglers. And they're telling Carmen, come with us into the mountains where we're going to plan our next big steal. And she says, no, I'm waiting for someone. Who's she waiting for? Don Jose, because she found out from people in the cafe that he had gotten out of prison. So in comes Don Jose. And Don Jose's been in prison for 2 months. And he brings out of his pocket this flower because while he was in prison, what did he do? Carmen. He smells it over and over again. It helps him to remember her. It keeps that spell going that she has on him, right? Now, here's the funny thing, guys, okay? He goes to sit down, he tells her he misses her, and she gets all excited, and she's getting ready to dance, and, you know, wants to get very close to him, and she's all excited to see him. And meanwhile, off in the distance, you hear, there's a trumpet. And what does a bugle or a trumpet mean for a soldier? Yeah. Charge! It's time to get back to your infantry. We're going into battle. Come, everyone needs to respond to the bugle. They didn't have cell phones. They couldn't call you up, so they used the trumpet. So what is Don Jose? Here he is. He's missed Carmen, and she's doing this great dance, and what is he going to want to do? I'm a soldier. I need to do my duty. Carmen, I love you. I'll come back as soon as I can. Love you, sweetheart. Bye. And he wants to leave. How is she going to take that? What is up with you? What is up with you? Man, no. She gets really mad at him. She gets furious at him. And after she gets furious, and he's still feeling torn, he sings about the flower and how much he loves her. Listen to how he pleads with her that he really, really does love her. Just to see you once more, Carmen. And he sings of his love. I was very fortunate. The singer in this particular clip I shared with you is a man by the name of Franco Corelli. He was a famous Italian tenor, just beautiful actor and singer. And I had was very fortunate to actually meet and have a chance to speak with him. Okay, so that brings us at the end of Act 2. The soldiers come back into the cafe. They get into a scuffle with Carmen and the gypsies. And now, because he's like an accomplice, because he's been there and the gypsies have attacked the other soldiers, that leaves Don Jose no other choice. But he's going to have to go with Carmen and the gypsies into the mountains. And that's where the third act picks up. They're in the mountains. It's cold. And Don Jose is just not a very happy camper. Because at this point, do you think Carmen's really showing him much love? No. Who is Carmen now all probably into? The celebrity, the torridor. She's thinking about Escamilla. She's already moved on. He's like, that Don Jose is a loser. Okay, he can hang out with us. He might be useful since he's a soldier. Maybe he knows how to use a gun. Okay, meanwhile, the gypsies are doing some fortune telling. And two of the gypsies get really great fortunes, but then Carmen looks at her fortune in the cards, and tell me what this music sounds like. Okay. Yeah, the first hand was over here, so I got to honor it. Yeah. A disaster. He's right. Give him a round of applause. Gosh, it's the fate music. Some bad stuff is going to go down. Now, meanwhile, this character, who's this again? Micaela. Everyone say Micaela. Okay, now Micaela has been in the village with Don Jose's mom, and they've been worried. And she goes off to go find him up in the mountains. Now, you gotta kind of imagine this, all right? It's freezing cold. It is dark, and there aren't any highways, there aren't any lights. She's gotta go there all by herself, and she's going into a criminal's camp. How do you think she's feeling? Scared. And because she's scared, she sings this beautiful prayer. Listen to her pleading for the courage to Señor, to God, for some strength. It is beautiful, isn't it? That's opera, baby, because you know what? Did you hear those horns? How mellow? That was only 15 seconds of music, and did it change how you were feeling? Yeah, you could feel that she was feeling this prayer, and that's the power of the music. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so meanwhile, Don Jose is there, and he just is not happy. And he's got his gun, and off down the road in the bushes, he hears a bunch of noise. So he takes his gun, and he goes, bang! And he shoots at the noise that he hears. That noise ends up being Escamillo. He puts a hole in Escamillo's hat. He misses him. But when Escamillo comes, and he tells Don Jose, why is Escamillo there? Who's he looking for? Carmen. He's looking for Carmen. And how is that going to make Don Jose feel? Angry. So angry that he wants to get into a fight, and they have a knife fight. But Escamillo gets away. But at that point, he knows that Carmen definitely does not love him, that it's all over, and he is so mad. And Micaela makes her way and tells Don Jose, you must come and see your mother. And he leaves, but not without telling Carmen, I'll be back. I'll be back. Okay. That brings us to the last and final act. We're at the end of the story. Okay, so the final act begins with the bullfight in the arena. People are all coming to see Escamillo fight. And who should Escamillo have on his arm as he parades into the arena? Yes. Carmen. He has Carmen on his arm. Now, people have been warning Carmen, you need to get out of here because Don Jose is looking for you. And don't forget the fate. Da, na, 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 na. Something really bad might happen, right? So she says, I'm not afraid. I will face my fate, whatever it might be. And so Don Jose comes, and he pleads with her. He says, Carmen, Carmen, look, come with me. You don't need to be a gypsy. I don't need to be a gypsy. I don't need to be a soldier. Just you and I together. Let's go away from here. And what is she going to say to him? No way, buddy. You know what? Forget about it. I'm not a liar, and I've made up my mind, and guess what? It's all over. It's all over. At that point, what do you think Don Jose is going to do? He's going to kill her. Ah! And he gets her. Ah! Okay. And that's the end of the opera. Now, I want to play for you a very short video that gives you a recapitulation of everything that we just talked about. I got some good news for you. How would you like to see that opera with us? Yeah? Okay, we're going to help make that happen for you. That opera is going to be coming live from New York City, and we're going to go into Monterey to Del Monte Center, where we're going to be able to see not just the opera, but we're going to be able to see backstage. We're going to be able to see them changing costumes and sets and lighting. We're going to be able to see behind the scenes in HD. And the way it works is you come, your principal and teachers will have some more information for you, but you can sign up for the opera, and it's going to be Saturday, November 1st, right after Halloween. We're going to have a great party there. We will have for you breakfast. We'll have some donuts and some hot chocolate for you and some other treats and snacks. And after the show, we're going to take you out for a really nice lunch. So then we'll have a little celebratory party after the opera. Okay? So I just want to end here with this picture of my dad. And my dad would be so proud of you guys today for being open to learning about something new. And you've been really wonderful. You've been very respectful. You've made great predictions about the story. I'm proud of you. Thank you. And my dad knows that lots of bad stuff is in our lives. You know, we got good stuff and we got bad stuff. And there's some really horrible stuff happening in the world even right now. But the good news is we're surrounded by love. And sometimes you can't see that love. You really can't. It's invisible. And it may not even come from all the places that you expect it to come from. And my father would want you to know that music is like a language. When you don't have the words because you're feeling 2 or 3 things at the same time, anyone ever felt that way? Like your mind and heart are racing and you're feeling multiple things all at the same time. Well, like we talked about earlier when we did that little funny skit where I was... one person was happy and I was being angry and you could understand us both. Well, musical gives us a language for our feelings and our emotion. Whatever music speaks to you, my father would want you to use that music to express, to understand those feelings that you have. And lastly, most importantly, my father would want you to recognize that you all have the power to create. And no one can take that away from you. And it is the little things that we do, like how we write our name on an assignment for school, how we treat one another, the kindness that you show, the respect, because we're all different, and in big things like those of you who are drawing dolphins and, what were you drawing? Volcano. Okay? So art happens on all of these different levels. Don't let anyone take away your power to create. Okay, so check out our website, occhiata.org. There's a bunch of materials out there, including the story. You can reread it both in English and Spanish. You can share it with your parents. We encourage them to come with us as well. And that's all I have for you today, guys. Thank you so much. Viva Carmen!